Good evening, everyone. My name is Jesse, and this is the Auditorium. I react to video game music for the first time as a musician myself, and today's return of the Prince of Persia, Warrior Within. We are going to be listening to two songs today. Conflict at the Entrance from the channel Pop Fan 01 and Confrontation in the Mechanical Tower from the channel Stuart Chatwood, the composer. I'm pretty sure the last song I heard from this game, My Tower, also in the title, but I could be wrong about that. These are requested by Darton and CLEVM. By the way, this image is like so hard, and the weapons, are those scimitars? They're sick. Also, one quick question before I get going. Is it the same character in all of them? Kind of looks similar, just different hairstyles. Oh, here. Is this the same character? Anyways, Prince of Persia music's pretty cool. It's not what I expected, but this time I'm going to try something a little different. I'm just not going to say anything until it's over. I want to hear these. I feel like I'm talking too much. This is Conflict at the Entrance. I think Stuart Chatwood is a fan of 80s metal. As I say that, the harmony comes in. This is a really good feeling soundtrack. It's just good energy. There's a band that reminded me of right there at the very last second. I can't think of them. It'll come to me at some point. Anyways, so I'm curious about this Stuart Chatwood and what their influences are, because something I just noticed. It's funny how sometimes it takes a while for me to notice something, even though like I've been checking it out recently, right? This is now like my third Prince of Persia video in the past, let's just say like 2 months or something, which for me is quite often, and yet I can still forget stuff frequently just because of how many things I hear. But I'm now noticing that there's a very specific guitar tone here that I overlooked, and that's actually pretty important in the grand scheme of things in the world of metal, and that is the sound of scooped mids. What are scooped mids? I found a visualization. Basically, imagine an equalizer, right? Starts with the bass frequencies, slowly goes towards the mids into the trebles. Basically, it's just like the shape of a V. So like all the bass frequencies are up, and they make a V going down. The mids are scooped back into treble. It looks kind of like a V, like that. Just to give you an idea. That is the sound, essentially, of like the 80s metal. Almost any band you hear from the 80s, still people do it now too. But the big ones were Metallica, Megadeth, probably Anthrax, Testament, stuff like that. It was a really aggressive time in music. I mean, well, like the 80s, like metal was coming to be, you know, because it was kind of like the resistors of like glam and hair metal, which was all hairspray and fancy, you know, stuff. Metal was like all gritty and like, no, we want the guitars to sound really up close and kind of, they sound very arrogant. You know, Scoop the Mids has a very sharp sound. There's no mids. it's just bass and treble. So it has a really strong attack. And the way you can actually really tell this is if you nowadays on YouTube, you can just look up like isolated recordings of these bands, or like what they call them, stems. A really scooped sound was Metallica's "And Justice for All" sound, which, fun fact, that was the first album I ever bought. If you listen to, I don't know, let's just take "Blackened," which is like one of the biggest songs on there. I love that song. If you just like look up, I guess I could. No, I can't do it because then copyright. Just look up like "Blackened" guitar isolated track or something like that, and the guitar will sound so by itself. It'll sound so aggressive. The reason I'm saying all this is because I am hearing it here, which I don't know when Warrior Within came out, but I'm guessing at least 15, 20 years after all that. So to me, when this came out, this must have sounded like an old school sound, which I guess technically still applies today because, you know, it sounds like an old school sound to me. The sound that I'm hearing now sounds like, how do I say this without sounding old? 40 years ago? I hate saying that. I hate thinking that the 80s was 40 years ago, but it's 40 years ago. Anyways, it's a really cool sound though. I like it. It's very nostalgic, but it's also, it shows a lot of aggression, and it's like a cool way of sounding like hard. It doesn't sound corny or anything. It sounds just like it has a lot of attack. But also, to balance that, the rest of the mix has to sound really, really good, which this also does. So because the guitar signal is so, you know, heavy, the bass has to round it out, the drums have to round it out, everything like that. This was really cool. It sounded like that. It sounded like an 80s jam band. But yeah, I don't know. I like it. It sounds more aggressive than Sands of Time. But I also don't know how much Warrior Within I've heard. This could very well be the debut of Warrior Within. I haven't even thought about that. Maybe. Let me know if it is. I have to check. I won't know until after, but maybe it is. So in that case, maybe the next song is going to have the same feel as this one. And those weapons are sick. And the fact that they're two different kinds, that's really cool. All right, this is... Oh, what was it called, by the way? Conflict at the Entrance. Oh, I wasn't even thinking of the subject matter. From what I'm told, really quick, just like another 10 seconds. From what I'm told, the Prince of Persia music is not really there until something happens. So until you get into an altercation, then that's when the music like ramps up. Otherwise, it's just kind of like ambient noise. Let me know if it's the same case here. So I'm guessing everything I've heard so far from Prince of Persia, besides the credits theme, is like a conflict fight. This is Confrontation in the Mechanical Tower. Warrior Within. Jesus. I did hear another song with Tower in the title. Dude. the aggression in these. Yeah, this would definitely like pump you up during playing for sure. Da, 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 da. Descending. Yeah, see, that scoop mid sound is perfect for this stuff right here. Dun, 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 dun. It makes chugging so... It sounds like a gun being shot. Perfect example of what a scoop mid sound is for. I just noticed something else too. I like how the hi-hat opened up right there. Like this just aggression that I just really like. To me has a very, I don't know if I said this prior, but overall Prince of Persia to me sounds like what I think of when I was like 10, 12 years old and I was into like the WWF and just hearing like promotions and entrance music. That sounds like entrance music. And I mean this in the nicest way possible. It sounds like generic entrance music for a wrestler, which is really cool though, because it's I remember fun fact. Let me see if I can find it really quick. I bought a CD. Remember compact discs? I bought a CD. It was an album of wrestler intros because I remember being. It was one that I was really intrigued by, and that was Gangrel's theme. He was like this weird vampire, kind of looked like a freak, but he had a super dope song. And when you watch those shows, you don't hear the song, you hear the announcers, you hear the crowd. The song isn't the focus, you just kind of hear it in the background. And this is before YouTube, so I was like, I need to hear these. Let me see if I can find it just really quick. Music CD? I remember it was like red. Pretty sure it was red. And I'm pretty sure that all those songs were composed by like one person. At least mostly one person, unless it was a licensed track, which is fascinating to me. Damn. I'm gonna find this. I promise I'm gonna find this. Because I totally forgot that until this. Anyways, but it's... Oh, I think I found it. I did find it. I think, right? Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is because I do remember last time I brought up like Disturbed, Godsmack. Earlier I talked about like Metallica and stuff. So there's like a common pattern here, right? It sounds like just that kind of aggression. I'm pretty sure it was this album right here. WWE Anthology. Yeah, it's ringing the bell. I'm pretty sure. Damn, that was sick. I wonder what happened to that. But yeah, had a lot of stuff that sounded like that, and it was just like one. I'm pretty sure it was like one composer. But you know, this actually made me curious. I've been doing this lately in some of my videos, and I'm kind of just doing it more. I'm just looking up footage. Before, I just always avoided it, just because I like getting answers from the comments. But you know what? It doesn't help to, or it doesn't hurt to check out a little bit of it. You know, get an idea. I'm gonna click a random thing, but see, the only thing is I won't have any like relevant footage. So I'm gonna go to MK Ice and Fire, the channel. I'm just gonna click a random something that catches my eye, get a feel for the game. Okay. Action adventure. Oh, that was a bad demonstration there. It looked like he was glitching. Action. I'm not trying to like criticize it, but is the action kind of like floaty and slow in this game? You know what? You know what it looks like to me? It looks like it was like really emphasized on like motion capture, so it's like very realistic. You know how humans don't move as fast as video game characters, so it looks like it's kind of authentic. Let me know. Does he have a giant Mickey hand? Man, what a choice of footage to pick. Anyways, I did get it corrected. The last time I heard Prince of Persia, I said that there was 2 games that people talk about, and it's mostly there was one that was like left out, and I think I said the wrong one. I think it's this one and Sands of Time that gets the praise, and the other one is kind of like whatever. But you guys tell me. Anyways, both the songs kind of gave me the same vibe, right? They just sound like conflicts. They sound like what we just saw, just kind of like a mini boss fight or maybe a group of characters. But I do like the sound, and I like that it's reminding me of like the 2000s. And in this case, the 2000s and the 80s. So both good eras of metal, and you know, it's just it's really cool. It reminded me of 2 albums that I bought. That's so rare and random here. I bought Injustice for All. I never mentioned that before, and I bought WWE Anthology. I never mentioned that either. And both get mentioned here, so it's very awkward and strange, but cool. Okay. Well, that is the Prince of Persia Warrior Within. I think the debut of Warrior Within. I don't know. And if it is, it does sound heavier than Sands of Time. Let me know if you feel the same, or are they both kind of on par? Also, did Stuart Chatwood compose all 3? All right, that's it. Thank you to the requesters, and thank you to everyone you see on screen. I couldn't be here without them. That was fun. My name is Jesse in the auditorium. I will see you next time. Peace.